I won't put politics on paper. It's a mania, so I refuse to use the pen in Pennsylvania. Our fifth story in the countdown. The Clinton campaign is using its pen, strategist Mark Penn, in Pennsylvania, but may wish it had not. First, Penn declared Barack Obama incapable of winning the general election if he could not beat Clinton in the Keystone State primary. Then the campaign tried to backtrack and insist he had not said that, and had only said it raised serious questions. Indeed, a rare moment of unity today in the 2008 nominating process. Senators Clinton and Obama taking a break from the campaign trail to spend time at their day jobs in the U.S. Senate, among other things, casting their votes on a budget blueprint for the next fiscal year. Senator Clinton's advisors doing her campaigning for her today. As we mentioned, Chief Strategist Mark Penn telling reporters on a conference call that Senator Obama cannot win the general election.
Look, we believe that the road to 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue goes right through the state of Pennsylvania, and if Barack Obama can't win there, how could he win the general election? I mean, he doesn't seem to be passing the commander-in-chief test. He's not passing the steward of the economy test, and it looks like he's saying that he won't pass the Keystone test.
Later in that same phone call, Clinton Communications Director Howard Wolfson denying that Mark Penn had said what he'd said about Senator Obama being unable to win the general election. Mr. Penn himself then backtracking to say, quote, that if you can't win Pennsylvania, it raises serious questions about whether he can win a general election. Then there is the Clinton campaign effort to get the delegates from the Florida and Michigan primaries seated, even though no candidates officially campaigned in either state. And in Michigan, only Senator Clinton's name was on the ballot. On National Public Radio this morning, Senator Clinton arguing Senator Obama's non-participation in the Michigan primary was a voluntary option.
Well, that was his choice, remember. There was no rule or requirement that he take his name off the ballot. And his supporters ran a very aggressive campaign to try to get people to vote uncommitted. So it wasn't that he didn't participate at all. In fact, there was a real effort to get people to vote uncommitted, and I still won 55% of the vote.
You say that that is a fair result even without Barack Obama's name on the ballot?
Well, that was his choice, Steve. I mean,
wasn't it the Democratic Party's choice that it would not be a result that would be counted, and most people took their names off the ballot?
No, I think that the Democratic Party said that they would not, under the circumstances, count the votes. But we all had a choice as to whether or not to participate in what was going to be a primary. And most people took their names off the ballot, but I didn't. And I think that that was a wise decision because Michigan is key to our electoral victory in the fall.
Or perhaps more accurately, key to her primary victory in the spring. As for Senator Clinton's claim that the Democratic candidates, quote, all had a choice as to whether or not to participate, that is apparently patently false. All candidates, including Senator Clinton, having signed a pledge vowing that they would not participate in the Michigan or Florida primaries. Quoting from that document, therefore I, your candidate's name here, Democratic candidate for president, in honor and in accordance with DNC rules, pledge to actively campaign in the pre-approved early states, Iowa, Nevada, New Hampshire, and South Carolina. I pledge I shall not campaign or participate in any election contest occurring in any state not already authorized by the DNC to take place in the DNC-approved pre-window, any date prior to February 5, 2008. On the plane ride from Chicago to Washington, D.C. this morning, Senator Obama making his own argument against Senator Clinton's claim that the Michigan contest was fair, with an assist from his 6-year-old daughter.
I don't know exactly how she drew that conclusion, since I didn't step foot in Michigan, and my name wasn't on the ballot. So, yeah, the notion that somehow it would be fair for her to obtain significantly more delegates than me in a contest where we both agreed it wouldn't count. I wasn't on the ballot, and I didn't campaign there. Just defies, logic. I think you could ask my 6-year-old whether that was fair, and she would probably be able to say, no, that isn't.
Senator Obama also taking on the argument that Florida's primary results should stand exactly as they are because both his name and Senator Clinton's were on the ballot on January 29th.
Why not just take a poll at the beginning of this whole contest 13 months ago? We could have saved ourselves billions of dollars and a lot of travel time, and she would have won by 20 points because nobody campaigned. She would have been the designated Democratic nominee. I mean, the whole point of campaigning is that the voters actually start getting to know who the candidates are. And if we had made that determination in all these states, just put my name on the ballot without me campaigning or running any significant ads, I would have lost by 20 points across the country, right? I don't think anybody would think that was fair.
Time now to call on our own Howard Fineman, senior Washington correspondent for Newsweek magazine. Howard, good evening.
Good evening, Keith.
The Clinton big states strategy is one thing, but to parlay that into, if Obama can't win Pennsylvania, the primary, he can't win the general election. Howard Wolfson must have recognized immediately that was something of a toxic statement there, because as we mentioned later in the same conference call, he was denying Mark Penn had ever said that.
Well, the sequence of questions and answers is a little jumbled up, but the key word that Penn used was can't. Can't win. And you don't say that in politics unless you want to give a reason. And, of course, everybody knows that we're in the Psy-war phase of this campaign, this primary campaign, where I think the Clinton campaign, leave the numbers aside, Keith, leave the arithmetic and the big and the small states and all that. They're trying to goad Obama, this is my take, they're trying to goad him into making a mistake, into losing his temper, into crying foul in some way, reacting, for example, to Mark Penn's assertion that Obama couldn't win. I understand what Penn was saying. Pennsylvania is important, and it is true that Democrats probably can't win the general if they can't win Pennsylvania. But just because Hillary may be ahead in the primary doesn't mean that if Obama's the nominee, he couldn't win Pennsylvania. Indeed, if you look at some of the test matchups, Obama's running quite strong across the state of Pennsylvania against John McCain. So it was illogical, and it begs the question of why the illogic, why what amounts to an emotional statement that this guy can't win.
Yeah, if you think about this in terms of there being 3 presidential candidates, and this is a race now next month involving 2 of them, the person finishing second in that, if he's still or she's still more popular than the other guy from the other party, she or he still wins the state in the actual election. I mean, it seems really simple when you talk about it in those terms. Right. But as to this point about whether or not the Democrats can win with or without Pennsylvania, there was the set of polls that was issued by Survey USA last week that showed basically 2 different ground games. Both Democratic candidates could win a general election matchup against McCain. The crucial difference for our purposes tonight being Clinton wins Pennsylvania and then wins. Obama does not win Pennsylvania, but he would still win in the Electoral College. Does this distill the differences between these 2 campaigns? Clinton says, got to win Pennsylvania, and Obama says, I don't care about specifically Pennsylvania, got to win one more electoral vote.
Well, I'm looking at that map there. I mean, since we're in basketball, March Madness season, let me say that the Clinton strategy is sort of in the paint. You know, they're the traditional pounded inside. Obama's like the Princeton offense, work it around, clever passes all around the place. Either one could probably work, except the fact is that if you look at the last few elections, there's a bunch of states that the Democrats generally win and still need to win. I would say Pennsylvania is probably still one of them, but it doesn't mean that Obama can't win it. That's the point. If you look at the states that Obama and Clinton have won in the primaries, and I've been studying this very carefully today, Obama has actually won more swing states, that is, states that were very narrow in their margins last time, than Clinton has. Obama has won Colorado, Wisconsin, Minnesota, and Iowa. Clinton has won New Hampshire, Ohio, and New Mexico. So Clinton wins 4-3 for, Obama wins 4-3 for Clinton. So, you know, they both have their arguments. They both make some sense. Either one of these people is going to be a strong candidate, I think, against McCain. And the fact is, in the primary, Obama has won more popular votes, more delegates, and many more states than Clinton. So logic would tell you that he's probably overall the stronger candidate.
What, before we go, what do you see in Pennsylvania that, say, Strategic Vision, the polling company there, does not see? Right now it's an 18-point lead for Senator Clinton, and our little margin of uncertainty is only 9. What are you seeing, what are you hearing from in Pennsylvania?
Well, I was just up there the other day. I'll be spending a lot of time in my home state, and I think there's an opportunity for Obama there. They're lowballing it now. They're basically being wary. But they did agree to the one debate. There is going to be a debate in Philadelphia. Obama has time to introduce himself to the people of Pennsylvania and run what would amount to be a governor's race there. And the state has changed enormously. The unemployment rate's low. Pittsburgh and Philly have a lot of new tech, a lot of high tech. There are a lot of Obama voters. The only problem Obama's got is that it's a closed Democratic primary. If you don't register by March 24th to vote in the Democratic primary, you can't vote. That's why it's a tough state for him.
Howard Fineman of MSNBC and Newsweek. As always, sir, great thanks.
Thank you, Keith.